Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Old Fashioned Sports Show. I am your host, your main man with a master plan, and your favorite uncle, Anwar Richardson. Good to see everybody here, seeing everybody who's in the chat. You might be wondering, where's your main man, Alex? Did you guys break up already? The odd couple not make it past the week? Anwar, is this another breakup on your resume? No! Alex is actually in Indianapolis. He is in Indianapolis. He is at the scouting combine. Him and his boy, Cody, are there. Carpenter rather, is at the combine. So we will have Alex today, but Alex will actually be providing us with some updates tomorrow. So we'll figure it out a way. Alex and I talked about this last night on how to get some updates from the scouting combine there. So you'll hear from Alex at some point tomorrow. So it's just me right now. And of course, it's Tuesday, which means that Jason Sukamel will be in at 9:30 to talk recruiting. So if you've got recruiting questions ready, you got some things on your mind. I know guys like Mike Torres who follows this thing all the time. They're thinking to themselves, hey, I've got a question. 9:30 is when you pop in. And make sure you say what's up to Jason Sukamel. Just want to give a good shout out to my main man, Dale Coleman, who was first in the chat. Robert Bobby Whitney was here. BK817 is in the house. Money B, we always in the building. Rodolfo, I know you want to let cook. And we're going to see what happens with that. Zio_V is in here. Chris Bennett. Anthony is in the house. JB Fan Club President is in the house. I just want to know, are you ever going to have to change that title is what I want to know. And then everybody else is here in the chat. So good morning to everyone, man. I hope everyone's doing good. I'm in a good mood. Hopefully it's a good Tuesday for you at the end of the month. For us, and realize, like, real quick, we're going to get into some sports topics. I realize it's 29 days in this month. So go figure. Some of y'all got to wait a little bit longer to get paid. Just a little bit longer. Hey, I want to make sure we give a shout out to the people who will absolutely make sure you get paid and get the things that you want. So let me give a shout out. I can't sell it as well as Alex does, right? But Alex will tell you about Texas beef traders. Listen, he's got me sold, right? Department store meat, cool, it's all right. You know, we all do it. It's convenient. But if you want some of the best authentic meat where it's traceable, where you know where it's from, you can't go wrong with the Texas beef traders. Go out there to Lakeway. You see that QR code. Knock that thing out. I've looked on their website. It looks absolutely amazing. I don't know if I can cook it that good, but it looks absolutely amazing. Go ahead and check out the good people with Texas Beef Traders out there in Lakeway. And I hear they even may go ahead and deliver to you, which, by the way, doesn't sound like a bad deal. And last thing, we want to talk about deals. Talk about my main man, Eric Sells Homes, DFW. Now, that's a deal. If you're looking for a home in the DFW area, you don't got to look any further than my main man, El Presidente. He has got you covered. Looking to buy, looking to sell. I keep telling y'all, it's springtime. It's time to buy a house. It's time to downgrade your house, whatever it is. Eric Sells Homes DFW. He has got you covered. Make sure you check him out. And make sure you let him know that your main man, Anwar Richardson, sent you. All right, let's put them chats back up. So one of the things that kind of got interested for me over the weekend, and this kind of happens a lot, I think, with Catch an Eye. And, you know, sometimes we'll see something that's actually, that's on Orange Bloods, and it'll spark an interesting conversation. It'll spark something interesting within us. And Cody wrote a story over yesterday, actually. Good story. A lot of information there on Orange Bloods. If you're not on Orange Bloods, shame on you for not making sure that my kid can still go to soccer. Come on. I need the subs, man. It's $10 a month. Come on, man. You got subscriptions to all kinds of stuff. You're not subscribing to Orange Bloods and making sure that my son can at least get some braces. He's going to need another round. Please do so if you haven't. But he wrote a story, right? It's kind of an analysis. An analysis was the headline was, "Are you sure C.J. Baxter isn't the next 1,000-yard rusher?" Well, I was like, huh. It's interesting. They went into a whole deep thing, and I'm not going to get into everything that he wrote because that's what he wrote. I want to talk about what I want to talk about, right? And I thought to myself, well, it's a good question. It's a good question. It's when we start thinking, that's kind of the title of the show, right? Will this Longhorn streak continue in 2024? As we start thinking about, the areas of need on this team and areas that you want people to step up on this team. When we talk about defensive tackle, right? That happens. Who's going to be the person that steps up there? Is it going to be the Alfred Collins of the world, Jerry Bledsoe? Like, who is going to be the person that steps in the middle and is the person that takes over, right? Who's going to be some of the guys on the edge? Ethan Burks is going to take that next step. Baron Sorrell is going to take that next step, right? We start thinking about Anthony Hill progressing and taking that next step, which we all know Anthony Hill is so damn good. He's going to take that step. He's going to take more than one step. Oh, man. It's going to be like a step class. That's how good Anthony Hill is. We think about those DBs, right? We feel pretty good about the receivers. Ketch and I had a really interesting conversation about John Tate Cook, and I think we're all in agreement that, as Rodolfo would say, you just gotta let Cook cook. But that let him cook. You might want to give him you might let him get to a broil. I mean, that's how good that man is. That young man is good enough to get to a broil. Let's start thinking about the running back position. What do we make of that position in itself? And so it really becomes the question of, hey, can Texas have another 1,000-yard back? And so we started with like this. We started with like this. I don't really think that was proper English. So let me try this again. Let's start it off like this. Damn you, USF diploma. You have failed me once again. Jeez. That was not worth the $6,000 that I spent. I don't know how much it was. Anyway, maybe 7,000. Nonetheless, one thing that Steve Sarkeesian prides himself on, as we guys know, he prides himself on being able to have a 1,000-yard back. And even prior to last season, one of the things he talked about going into that season was, hey, I'm all about my 1,000-yard backs, okay, and I've got a good streak that I expect to keep going. And I start thinking, okay, here we go, Coach Sarkeesian. That's how you feel. I'm here. I'm all for it, right? And if you go through it and you start thinking to yourself, the thing about Sark that he's done a really good job of, for me, when. Was that the old Maya Angelou quote, when people show you who they are, believe them, right? People try to attribute it to Oprah, but I think it's Maya Angelou that actually said it. And here's one thing I know about Steve Sarkeesian. If it comes to having 1,000-yard running backs, I believe them. I don't need to know who is the person. I don't need to know if it's C.J. Baxter. I don't need to know if it's Jaden Blue. I don't need to know if it's any young freshman. Hell, I don't need to know if it's Money B. I don't need to know if it's Ben G. I don't even need to know if it's Chris Bennett. All y'all in the chat. I don't even know if South End Zone Queen. If he puts you in the backfield, odds are pretty good you're going to rush for over 1,000. He's proven that, and I'm going to show you his career so we can see how consistent he has been within that. I appreciate you, Cody. Cody, if we really sparked up something that, the one thing I'm not, I'll be honest with you, one thing I'm not good at, I'm really not good at, and I'm trying to get better at. And I'll be honest with you, it's like a deficiency of me when I write so much and I do so many things that I just assume that everybody sees everything I write and every single word that I write all the time. And I realize no one got time for that. So sometimes I think to myself, well, I can't repeat myself because I said this like a year ago. And then someone's like, I've never heard this before. So let's get into this. Last year, and I'm going to have some history that goes along with this, but last year, obviously, we know about Jonathan Brooks because we got the JB fan club president in here, right? JB24. But what's interesting, JB24 fan club president, as you will quite remember, that wasn't the plan. It ended up being a well-executed plan, but that was not the plan. The plan was for CJ Baxter to cook. The plan was for CJ Baxter to be the number one back. The plan was for CJ Baxter to be the 1,000-yard guy. But something happened, which was CJ Baxter he got banged up. And then when CJ Baxter got banged up, there came Jonathan Brooks. Now, there's two ways to view this. You can view it out of a lens of, well, they got really lucky. Right? You can view it out of that lens, right? You can view it out of that lens that, hey, they just stumbled onto that thing. Like the way you would view the Chris Warren, Deontay Foreman timeshare from a few years ago, right? You guys remember that? Chris Warren and Deontay Foreman are sharing time. They're splitting time. They're splitting carries. And about 4 games in, Chris Warren gets hurt. And so then all of a sudden, Deontay Foreman, he becomes the main running back and just goes ahead and wins a Doak Walker. And you're left thinking to yourself, well, damn it, man, if this guy was good enough to win a Doak Walker, why the hell was he just the lead back? Like sometimes you look at coaches like, man, y'all know what you're doing. You know what you're doing, or you're focusing too much on the wrong things like practices and things like that. Like, what about the lights coming? All those kind of things. So that happens, right? So you can look at it out of that lens of saying CJ Baxter got hurt, and then of course Jonathan Brooks comes in and he takes off. So you can look at it at that lens, or you can look at it out of another lens, which is a more positive lens, by the way, is that if Jonathan Brooks was able to rush for 187 yards, rush 187 times, for 1,139 yards and 10 touchdowns before he got hurt, what would CJ Baxter have done during that same time frame if the staff believed that he was better? Right? That becomes the other prism that you can look at is if CJ Baxter is healthy and he's not banged up, could he have done even more? Could he have done 1,300 yards? I mean, these are the things you can ask yourself, right? It is, and all it is, again, it's like it's looking at it from a different lens. It's looking at it from a different perspective. I'm not saying either one is right or wrong, just giving you options on how you may or may not want to view the whole kind of situation. But CJ Baxter finishes last season with 138 carries, 659 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So now the talking point this whole offseason is going to be who's going to be that 1,000-yard guy. It's going to be Baxter. It's going to be Blue. I'm here to tell you, it ain't going to matter. Now, that is USF education. That's Southern right there. That's more Southern education than any kind of education. It ain't going to matter. It ain't going to matter. It's a combination of one word. It ain't going to matter. Spell it out. Because here's what Steve Sarkeesian has proven, and this is why I'm going back to when I have this conversation with you guys, right? And ladies, of course. Guys, it's just a blanket statement. I just gotta say something. I feel like you say anything nowadays, you might get canceled. So I just want to make sure I include everybody. He doesn't like. No. I like everybody. I just want to make sure I include everybody. In Steve Sarkeesian's recent history, when it comes to running backs, since at least Bama, I'm going to start from Bama and work my way up. My man is throwing out 1,000-yard backs like it ain't a thing. Like, this is just what I do. Like, I show up at a season and you get 1,000. Then next year you'll get 1,000. And next year you'll get 1,000. That's how it happens. Okay, so let's go 2021. All right, let's make it real simple. I really should. Let me see if I can do a screen share to make this thing easier for you guys as opposed to doing what I'm doing. Let me see if I can do a screen share real quick. This is where having a producer would help. I don't know, but it's okay. Self-producing. I'll just blame myself. Hold on one second. Let me see if I do a quick screen share because I hate to rattle off a bunch of numbers It'll take too long. It'll take too long. All right, so let me just round it off real quick. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so in 2021, I don't want to ruin the show by taking so long. 2021, the question was, okay, well, who's going to be who's going to be the guy going into that season, right? As we quickly and soon learn, it's Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson eclipses 1,127 yards, 11 touchdowns. The next year, Bijan Robinson, you guys know that's the kind of the breakout year, 1,622 yards, 18 touchdowns. And then, of course, last year, Jonathan Brooks. So every year he's been at Texas. Bijan twice, Jonathan Brooks once. He's had 1,000-yard running back. Now, let's go back to Bama. For real quick. Real quick or right quick? Which one do y'all want? Let's see. That ain't it. Man, this is annoying. Okay, let's go back to Bama. Make it real easy. I make the math real easy. I won't complicate it. Najee Harris, when Sark was there in 2019, in 2020, Najee, who some of y'all took in your fantasy football drafts, by the way, did not do anything for any one of us. Didn't do anything for me. I can tell you that much. Najee, though, you guys remember the name. 1,244 yards in 2019, 1,466 yards, 26 touchdowns in 2020. So now we got 2019, 1,000-yard back. 2020, 1,000-yard back. 2021, 1,000-yard back. See, keep going, right? 22, 23. 5 straight years that he had 1,000-yard back. Okay? That's 2 as a coordinator, 3 as a head coach. Now, 2017 to 2018, Sark is the Atlanta Falcons OC. So let's just throw that out the window. Don't matter. Don't care, right? We don't care about none of that, right? We're focusing on the main things. At USC, those 2 years that are there, 2014, he's got Javorius Allen as a 1,000-yard back, 1,489 yards. And in the following year, Justin Davis comes just that close with 902. And then Ronald Jones, by the way, comes really, really close. Now, check this out. And this might be potentially, I'm not speaking this because I think Sark's going to get a guy over 1,000. Okay, I'm pretty sure we got that 1K on it. But Ronald Jones that year had 987 yards, rushing yards. So he had 2 guys at 900. Like that. I mean, you talk about that's about as close as close can get, to be quite honest with you. And then when we go back to his time at Washington, again, just to make life easier for all you guys, Chris Polk, in 3 straight seasons, rushes for over 1,000 yards, 2009, 2010, and 2011. Bishop Sankey rushes for over 1,000 yards in 2 seasons. And by the way, Sark's final year, check this, man, Bishop Sankey, in Sark's final year, Bishop Sankey had 1,489 yards, rushing yards. Woo! Say that again for the people in the back. 1,489 rushing yards. Oh, you know what? This is what's taking me so long. And I think I got it right here. Let me see if I can get this right here. All right, let's see. Let me watch this. Watch this. Ooh, watch this. Where is the y'all be patient. Be patient. Hold on. Here we go. All right. Okay. All right. Y'all ready for this? Here we go. I'll make this life easier for everyone. All right. Well, this is too damn small. What in the hold on. All right, let's see if this translates a little bit better over here. I'm gonna take myself off the screen here. All right. So here you go. And like I said, I'll make your life a little bit easier because I need to know this is like somewhat easier to see. So again, you can see Jonathan Brooks last season and what he had. We scroll down to the Bijan Robinson. Again, now this is for those who are more visual. You see what Bijan Robinson was able to do in 2022, what he's able to do in 2021. And now if we go here to the Najee portion of it, this is where we're at. Najee Harris at the 251 carries. And by the way, so you're clearly knowing his workhorses are getting over 200 carries. Pretty easy. Jonathan Brooks, obviously, he has everything cut short, but you're going to get plus 200. You're going to get the ball under Steve Sarkeesian as a running back, as the lead back. So we see Najee right here, 251 for that 1466. And then, of course, Najee right here, the 209 for that 1244, 13 touchdowns. Again, Atlanta Falcons thing, we don't care necessarily about that. This was the close as, 13 yards away. It's still not a thou, but 13 yards away says a lot. Okay, then we go back to your USC days. You see him right there at 1489. And then really this is what becomes the interesting one. I'm going to go down. And of course, my main man, Adam Lowy right there. If you check out Chris Polk, 2009, you get to see, again, Sark, 1,000-yard back. 2010, Chris Polk again, 1,000-yard back. 2011, Chris Polk is killing it at this point, right? 1,400 yards in back-to-back seasons. And then Bishop Sankey comes in and just continues it from there. 1,439 yards. And of course, the final year, 1,870 with 20 TDs. So when the question really becomes, all right, when the question becomes, all right, can this guy, any of these guys do it? I think you see right there, history proves it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's just really more a matter of who that person is. Now, I think everybody's got their favorites. I know a lot of you, everyone's high on Jaden Blue. At least I know I'm high on Jaden Blue. Not going to sell out CJ Baxter by any stretch of the imagination. But when we ask the question, will this streak continue in 2024? Men lie. Women lie. The numbers don't. Jay-Z. And so what that means is that, yes, the answer is a definitive yes. If Sark put a guy out there, I'm convinced he's going to get 1,000, and that's it. Don't have to worry about anything else. All right. Hey, there's another thing I wanted to kind of share with you guys too, by the way, is that bet online. And I'm not telling you guys to bet. That the thing I bet on or wager on or like to do the most is Prize Picks. I enjoy that. It's actually the reason why I'm retiring from fantasy football and just going to do that. I'm no longer interested in managing a team. I'm just too old. My kids got too many activities. I just don't have time to prepare for a draft. I don't have time to manage a team in season, waiver wires, all that. I ain't got time for all that. But I got time for Prize Picks. I can do that. But some of you people, much like my main man El Presidente, enjoy wagering, and I'm cool with that. And Bet Online released their odds of certain teams winning the college winning their conference championships. Boy, what is going on? Damn you, USF! Damn you! Okay, so here was the odds of Texas winning the SEC. Okay, this is what the odds were here. As you see, Georgia sitting there at 2-1, followed by Texas sitting there at 5-2. That pretty good odds. And then you guys can look in the middle and look at Texas A&M. They're sitting there at 22-1 right now. So they're middle of the pack kind of thing. Here's what the interesting thing. I actually did a video on this that should be airing on our channel at some point today. But here's what I really want you guys to focus in on. I want you to go look at Kentucky. Okay. Go down to Kentucky at 80-1. Okay. Don't worry about South Carolina. And then you look at those last four. Here's what you have to understand, that Texas is playing 5 out of 6 teams on this list that have the worst odds of winning a conference championship this season. 5 out of the 6 teams that Texas is playing have the worst odds, aka they ain't good, aka they are perceived to be trash. I'm not saying they're trash. Their odds say they're trash. That's all. The odds say these are the bottom feeders. So I just want everybody to keep that thing in mind when we start talking about Texas is going into the SEC. What's that going to look like? Can Texas handle themselves? Clutch your pearls and, hold on for dear life. Oh, Lord, how are we going to do it? And then you kind of look at it and say, well, from an odd standpoint, from a statistical standpoint, these teams are teams that Texas should beat. These teams aren't teams that are technically better than Texas. Oklahoma was at 50-1. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. Let me go ahead and put that back up there. Oklahoma was at a 50-1 odds. Okay? So, I started it. I just started at Kentucky. And I basically said 5 of the bottom 6. But, really, if you go to Oklahoma, you're talking about 6 or 7. 6 of the 7 bottom feeders of the SEC are on Texas's schedule, with basically Georgia being the toughest opponent that Texas is going to face this season. And outside of that, you're just facing a bunch of teams that from an odds maker standpoint, they're telling you these teams really ain't that good. So now when people start telling you, hey, man, 10 wins. Why are you going so big with 10? Why are you really thinking about that? Why are you thinking about conference championships? Why are you thinking about an SEC championship? This is Texas's first year in the league. Like, how's Texas going to be able to do this so fast? Like, you guys need to pump down this the SEC. SEC. Oh my God. Oh, how are you going to survive in the big old SEC? Well, the question is, how's those other teams going to survive? Because from a statistical standpoint, and if you're just looking at it, it looks like they're going to have to worry more about surviving against Texas than Texas is going to have to worry about surviving against them. Just putting that out there for consumption for all you guys out there. And that's for all your haters. When you got your haters giving you ammunition, and I know y'all got haters, you got friends who are OU fans, you got friends who are A&M fans and all that kind of stuff. Well, for all your haters, Up just gave you just a little ammunition to help you out. And let me just give you one more number, because you might be wondering, before Jason comes in, you might be wondering, okay, we got the SEC odds. So what are the Big 12 odds like? What the conference that you actually are leaving? And so according to betonline.ag, Kansas State rather, with the 3-1, followed by Utah, Kansas, and Arizona. Wow. Just Utah and Arizona being in the top 4. What those things have changed. At 8-1, I guess all roads to the championship don't lead through Lubbock anymore, right? I guess we can say that that's not really a thing that it used to. Well, I guess it was a thing that never became a thing, that could have been a thing, that just became an embarrassing thing for Yermark and his crew. And then you guys can see that everybody else, with everybody believing that BYU is absolutely trash in this conference. Colorado at 50-1. You could throw a Hail Mary if you're just looking for something to do. But outside of that, yeah, you probably don't want to touch the rest of these things. Anyway, just want to make sure I put that thing up there for you guys so you'll be good to go. Now, let's get ready to go into our Speakeasy Lounge. Let's bring in Jason Sukamel for some recruiting updates. If you got questions, get them in there now, because here comes Jason. Jason, Yankees hat.
Anwar.
Okay. What brings
3-1 in the Cactus League, baby. Come on, got to represent. Important stuff. Hey, on that list you just showed,
yeah,
I'll take Mike Gundy. I don't even know who he has on his roster, but 16-1 odds. Give me Mike Gundy, dude. I'll plunk $100 down on Mike Gundy. Why not? Dude?
I feel like you know what? That's probably a safe bet. All right, it's probably ridiculous to
He's losing his quarterback, right?
You said what, Jason?
I think he's losing his quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. But Bowman, right?
Yeah, but he loses.
Doesn't matter.
He loses someone all the time.
Exactly, doesn't matter. Yeah,
it's like remember, like Gundy would somehow became like a running back factory at Oklahoma State, which is every year they had like a guy with 1,500 yards. Like, how the hell are they doing this?
Yeah, well, I think Ollie Gordon's coming back. So give me Mike Gundy 16-1 odds. I'll take it.
Jason, what has been going on in the recruiting world? I'll be honest with you. I've not checked on you 3-2-1.
I mean, a good one this week, Omar.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I will absolutely get to that one, but I have not checked. Okay, I'm looking right now. To my defense, you posted at 8:18 this morning. I was preparing for the show, so that's not really cool. But all right, give me what's going on from a recruiting perspective. The floor is yours, Jason.
You know what? I actually finished writing last night about 9 o'clock. I'm gonna start posting it on Monday night just to do Anwar a solid, so he can do some homework before we
send me just DM me a couple of notes before my show.
I actually thought about that. I was like, hey, here's a couple talking points.
Just email me like 4 talking points so I can look like I know what the hell I'm doing here.
Isn't it great that we're discussing this on the air instead of
hey, Jason, I'm totally unprepared for this interview. And you help me be more prepared? Okay. As you guys can tell, I'm winging it.
That's funny. So what's going on in the recruiting world, Omar? Not a lot. We they got some 7-on-7 stuff going on. Minimal some camp stuff, off-season workouts. I did talk to a lot of guys or several guys over the weekend. Dead period actually ends next Sunday night, I guess technically Monday morning at 12:01. So we'll start to see some visits taking place more in March, though. But, I've got kind of a list I've started to put together. Guys are starting to set up even official visits in June, which is just kind of silly to me. But, I mean, you got to get these things locked in before they fill up their calendars in June. But a lot of guys are starting to set up visits for April, maybe even March, but a lot of visits for April, including for the Texas spring game. So some of that type stuff going on, but a lot of it's 7-on-7. Right now, it's just kind of coaches keeping tabs with guys until they can get them back on campus starting as early as next Monday. Like I said, 7-on-7 tournaments are kind of heating up. The next, not this weekend, but then the following 2 weekends, I'll actually be in Dallas and then Houston for Under Armour camps. So those things are starting to ramp up. Rivals camps are starting to kick off. So it's going to start being a really busy time coming up the next couple months.
I mean, Jason, if anyone's on social media, we know 7-on-7 is heating up because we all saw Cam Newton.
I was going to ask you if you saw that, dude. Yeah, Cam handles himself pretty well. I'm not going to mess with Cam for sure.
I think running up on a guy who's like 6'5", 6'6", and what was Cam, like a good 250-ish or so? I don't know. He's a solid, huge human being.
Yeah. Yeah, and he handled himself pretty well. And, that's what's interesting. Like, Cam actually has, or his name's attached to it. He has his own 7-on-7 circuit, but that was not one of his. I think he was actually involved in a specific team at this tournament. So that's not the first. Dude, I went to a 7-on-7 tournament a few weeks ago up in Dallas. And literally, I'm not shitting, the cops had to go drive out on the field with their sirens on. There's like 4 of them. And then there was just like almost like a brawl. I mean, it was kind of dissipating at that point, but like, yeah, 7-on-7 can get pretty competitive and pretty rowdy for sure, man. So.
Hey, Jason, just you talked about visits, and it made me think of something that came out just last week, and I just kind of want to get your overall take, and we won't get into some specifics here. But the NCAA, which pretty much is a useless institution at this time frame, decided that, hey, you know what? It's time for us to crack down. This is what we're going to do. Hey, you as a schools, you are no longer allowed to decorate a prospect's hotel rooms on official visits. Yeah. So those cookie cakes and those snacks, they got to be handed to the recruits in the lobby, but you can't go and decorate in their rooms because we're just laying down the law. I'm just curious, Jason, when you saw that and heard about that, how did it resonate with you?
I just rolled my eyes. It's the NCAA. I mean, listen, Hey, you can still put them up at the Four Seasons in a $500 a night hotel room. You can still take them to the fanciest restaurants in town, but you can't give them them hook'em shaped cookies. You can't do that. You can't give them their favorite candy. I mean, a lot of times you see these, because these recruits will do like on their Instagram stories, they'll take videos of their room, so you get a sneak peek, and it's usually handwritten notes. And there's usually a cookie cake, as you mentioned, Anwar.
Yeah.
And usually they know what like their favorite candy is. They'll put like some candy in there and some bags of chips or cookies. I mean, come on, NCAA. It's just stupid. Like I just kind of rolled my eyes and moved on to the next thing of my day because it's just so stupid. And they'll find a loophole around it. Like you said, they'll give it to them in the lobby or whatever they got to do, and they'll figure it out. But yeah, it's just pretty dumb. So,
Jason, can we just not waste any time? And can we just say Decorian more? Can we just, I mean, why wait for something? Someone's going to put it in the chat in another 5 minutes, right? So
I think Rodolfo already did probably. I think I missed it, he probably did. Nothing to report, Anwar. He's pretty solid to LSU. I still think at some point he will visit Texas. I know he's talked about visiting Texas A&M too, but it's all talk at this point. I think he'll get to Austin probably in the spring, probably for an official visit. But honestly, like right now, if you had asked me a month after he committed, I would have said, yeah, he's committed to LSU, but I'm going to put it at 55, 60% that he flips to Texas. Right now, I'd probably put it at 25, maybe 30% that he flips. I think right now, it's a pretty strong indication or chance that he sticks with LSU. Listen, they've got the number one running back in the country, arguably committed. LSU does. They've got arguably the number one quarterback in the country, or certainly top 2 or 3. So, Rivals released its top, its 5-star players yesterday. I don't even remember how many there were, like 18 or something at this point, and that number will grow. But I think LSU had 3 commitments: their quarterback, their running back, and Decorian Moore. So, I mean, they've got a pretty solid offensive foundation. They've got it rolling over there right now. And that's a big selling point. He's got Bryce Underwood, the quarterback commitment, who everybody in the world wanted, is committed to LSU. So that's a pretty big selling point for LSU. So it's going to be a tough flip for Texas, tougher than it looked like a while back.
Just a couple of things that happened. I just want to make sure that JD Hack gave you some props, JC. He said he just started an X account, started following you on Orange Bloods. Keep up the good work, bud. Makes me smile to see you somewhere other than YouTube.
Appreciate it, JD Hack. I wish I didn't suck so bad on X. I'll try to be better for you, dude. But I'm an old man. I'm still trying to find my social media groove. But yeah, I'm trying to actually kind of kick up all of us our social media presence. And I got a guy working on a graphic today to promote my 3-2-1 that I wrote. So appreciate that, JD Hack, and appreciate the follow.
All right. And then Cotton, who's a really good guy, says, hey, Jason, what are your thoughts on DJ Sanders? Ketch says he's a crucial get.
Yeah, DJ, of course, is the big D tackle out of Belleville. I have not talked to DJ. I don't know many people who have. I'm sure people at his school do, but he doesn't do a lot of interviews. But the kind of buzz coming out of Belleville is that he's a real heavy A&M lean, okay? And Belleville, I'm terrible with geography, but I think it's pretty close to College Station. It's a small town, I think a country town, so maybe he just feels more comfortable there. But, I mean, Texas has to get him on campus before that's even a realistic talking point. But right now, what I'm hearing, kind of the grapevine chatter, and some of this comes from other Rivals people, Adam Gorney reported on it, I think, in his rumors column or something. I can't remember what it was, but even he's hearing as well that A&M has a sizable lead for DJ Sanders.
Jason, you don't have to.
Oh gosh, wait, hold on, Anwar. I'm an idiot. I'm talking. Is he talking about? Okay, DJ Sanders, Belleville. There's David Sanders and DJ Sanders. I got him confused. So yeah, everything I said holds true. I was thinking because they're both crucial gets. David Sanders is an offensive lineman. DJ Sanders, of course, is a.
Well, tell us about David Sanders since you stumbled onto him.
Number 1 offensive lineman in the country. I think maybe he's like 3rd or 4th on the Rivals 100. He's a guy that Texas offered. And there's been talk of him getting to campus. Like there was a time last year when he was in talks about coming in. I think it was for a camp or a junior day or something. It ended up kind of fizzling out. Texas is in the mix there for David Sanders. He's out of North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. Texas is in the mix there, but more likely, I think schools like Alabama, Georgia, those schools kind of more in his region are the leaders. But hey, if Texas can get him on campus, which is a possibility, it almost happened last year, so it's possible. Kyle Flood's trying to do some work there. If they can get him on campus, all bets are off at that point. Nobody thought last year Brandon Baker was a legitimate option for Texas. You get him on campus, you win him over. So if Texas can get David Sanders and DJ Sanders, for that matter, on campus, they've got a shot. But right now they're playing a little bit from behind there.
Jason, don't give us everything, but give us a little teaser of what you wrote about Kalik Lockett in your 3-2-1 today. Jason doesn't call him every Tuesday with nothing but. You say you like to see Jason on X. If you are on Orange Buds, you get to see him every day. But Tuesday specifically, his 3-2-1, he gives a ton of recruiting information. He's only going to give you a little bit of a nugget on Kalik Lockett.
Yeah, Kalik. I talked to him on Sunday, and he's the just badass Rivals 100 receiver out of Saxe, Texas, kind of northeast, I think it is, of the Dallas area. Tremendous player. Like, I have to pull it up, dude. He's got so many visits coming up. He's going to visit Florida State, Penn State, Ohio State, LSU, Texas, and Texas A&M. These are in March and April. He'll be at Texas on April 6th. What to know? The things to know there. You know, Texas is obviously in the mix. He's visiting. He's visited. This will now be, I think, his 4th visit to Texas, but it'll be his first one in like 14 months. So it's been a while, but he really likes. You know, it's funny. I asked him what he liked about Texas on Warren. A lot of guys say like, oh, they play in the SEC, or oh, they played in the Big 12 championship game, or, you know, whatever. But dude, he rattled off the history of Texas. He rattled off all the players that are coming out this year and going into the league. Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, Whittington. He rattled off the whole depth chart for Texas this year, including the transfers that are coming in. He rattled off the incoming freshmen that are coming in. So he's like, you know, Chris Jackson's really stocked that cupboard. And I was like, damn, dude, you really do your homework. And he goes, yeah, I do. So he's clearly doing his research on Texas. That's a good sign. But this is going to be a all-out national battle. But I mean, hey, Texas is in the mix. They're getting them on campus. You know, he wants to. He said he's internally, he's kind of got about, you know, a list of about 10 schools. He's going to kind of cut it down in his mind, but he's not going to ever put out like a top 5 or a top 10. He said, I'll probably just commit at some point. It'll probably be before his senior season. I think Texas is in the mix there, but I certainly wouldn't call Texas the leader right now.
What about speaking of, let's go down a list of some guys here, okay, Jason? What about a guy like a Ty Haywood? You know, the guy out of Ryan Denton.
Yeah, Denton Ryan.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, Denton Ryan. Sorry, I take it back. Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Texas in the mix. What about a guy like him?
Yeah, you know, Texas has a shot on more, but he's never visited Texas. But he's still, the fact that Texas is kind of in that trio of schools, right? That's a pretty good indicator that he likes Texas. I talked to Ty, it was about a month ago, and he was, at that point, he was hoping to visit Texas before the dead period kicked in. He was a maybe to come to the junior day. He ended up he wasn't able to make it in. So, you know, he told me that, he goes, dude, I still have not visited Texas. He likes Kyle Flood a lot. He likes everything about UT. He's got former teammates, obviously, on the team, and that, you know, are kind of talking to him and selling him on Texas. So, yeah, I think Texas has a shot there, but you got to put Texas kind of behind that other grouping, you know, Oklahoma and A&M, until he at least gets on campus for a visit. So he's a guy that when I talked to him, gave me the vibe that he's not in a rush. He's going to take this thing slowly, but that can also, you know, that can obviously change in a hurry. He might end up committing this spring or summer, but he gave me the impression, hey, dude, I'm just kind of taking this thing as it comes. You know, I don't have like a firm timeline or anything, but likes Texas a lot, but I don't think I would call Texas a leader by any shot.
What about a guy like an Andrew Maddox, you know, out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi? Is he a guy that is taking his time as well, Jason?
Yeah, you know, his brother was committed to A&M last year. He's a quarterback, and he ended up flipping in. I think it's Anthony Maddox. I should know that, but I think he flipped.
Yeah, it's Anthony Jr.
Did he flip to somewhere in Mississippi?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Okay, yeah, thank you. So his brother was committed to A&M, and he came and visited. They both came and visited A&M, and while they were there, they came and visited Texas together. Actually, Texas wasn't recruiting the quarterback, but Andrew Maddox, you know, he likes Texas. He said, "Hey, Texas is one of the schools recruiting me hard that I'm seriously interested in." But now with his brother being at Ole Miss, dude, that might be a tough pull. And Ole Miss, you know, they can recruit pretty well. They got their own little ways of recruiting pretty well. So, you know, Texas is in the mix there. He has visited Texas before, more kind of like, hey, I'm going to be there visiting my brother in College Station. Let's hop on over to Austin type thing. but Texas did a good enough job on that visit that they kept themselves in the mix. But again, I think that one will probably be tough to reel in over the long haul.
Let me throw another guy at you. Not too far down the road, Jason. Michael Terry, the receiver out of San Antonio, big guy too, by the way.
Yeah.
But he tell us where Texas stands with a guy like him.
He is just a stud athlete. I mean, he can play defense. He can play receiver. Dude, he can. I think high school he does a little bit of everything. But he did tell me after the junior day, I talked to him. That was the first time I talked to him. First time I'd seen him in person. He said, "Hey, I want to just get the ball in my hands. I want to play on offense." And what I'll tell you about him first off, dude, what an impressive young man. Like, dude, when I interviewed him, I was like, "Damn, this guy seems like he's like a 10th year NFL veteran. This guy really handled himself well as an interview." And that was the first time I talked to him. But, I think Texas right there, Anwar, and he didn't come out and say it when we talked. I mean, he did say, hey, Texas is right up there near the top. But, he'll come back and visit several times, I believe. If I'm a betting man right now, and this is going out a bit on a limb because I don't have a real clear read on him, we can talk about a couple of guys in my 3-2-1 that I wrote about that I feel pretty good about. I'm predicting them to Texas. But Michael Terry, I would probably predict him to Texas right now. I think Texas is a team to beat. He mentioned he wants to stay close to home. I mean, obviously UTSA is right there in his backyard, but I mean, Texas is the closest school for him. If he wants to stay close to home, Texas A&M makes sense. I just think just in talking to him, his personality, his character just seems to fit in well with the kind of players Texas recruits, right? I just think he would just mesh well in that Texas culture. So I think Texas is a really good shot there.
Shook Ones has a question for you about Jamie French. He wants to know if he's in. He said that he's visiting. When's he visiting, Jason?
April 6th. He's coming in on April 6th, same day as Khalil Lockett, Kelshawn Johnson, and other receivers coming in. I need to hit up some other receivers because I know Chris Jackson has told those dudes, hey, I want you to come in and just kind of watch us practice. Watch me work on the field. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have a large number of recruits. And I'm going to circle back to that because I got a little personal story that ties into that. But so Texas is in the mix. He's visiting. He was one time committed to Alabama. He decommitted. I talked to kind of some Florida sources. He's out of Florida. So I talked to some Florida sources, and I wish I had my notes pulled up. I don't. I'm sorry. But they just said, hey, he's going to be a national recruit. And the thought was, yeah, Texas will definitely be in the mix there because he's the type of guy that, he's going to look at depth charts and explosive offenses. And, he's going to be intrigued by the Texases and the USCs and the Oregons. But he'll be a national recruit. But, it might be tough to kind of pull him out of that region. But Texas is certainly in the mix. He's coming in. He's out of Jacksonville, Florida. So he's coming in on his own dime. So Texas is certainly in the mix. But to my little personal anecdote there, dude, I was calling some guys on Sunday and I talked to Khalil Lockett. I talked to Kelshawn Johnson, who's another receiver. And they both told me, yeah, I'll be in Austin on April 6th. I'm like, damn it, Anwar. You know what April 6th is?
What?
That's my birthday, which I don't give a shit about my birthday. But more importantly, that's the day my daughter and I are flying to New York to watch the Yankees play for her senior trip. We're flying to New York. I'm using my Prize Picks money, all that. That's the day we're flying. So I'm telling these dudes, I'm like, damn it, dude. I said, that's my birthday. And I said, my daughter, her one birthday wish, she wanted a trip to New York. So she and I are flying to New York on April 6th. But these dudes are great. They're like, you know what? My man, I'm going to give you the first interview. So I was like, I literally will be texting you guys from Yankee Stadium. So hopefully I'll be able to get some work done. Well, but I'm like, damn it. Like you hear me bitch all the time. Like, I can't get away from this job for one damn weekend to take my daughter to a baseball game. I'll have to be working from the Yankee Stadium now. So.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I can think of worse places to be working from.
Yeah.
But however, with your daughter at Yankee Stadium, yes, like you should be focused in on the game and the experience.
Yeah, we'll have fun anyway.
Yeah, get you some help, Jason.
They all got a kick out. They're like, oh man, I'll be there. And there's another guy that's actually coming in. It's an offensive lineman from California, John Hills, who I talked to. He'll be in on April 6th too. And same thing. He's like, dude, I'm gonna take care of you. It's your birthday. I'm gonna get you an interview. And I was like, all right, brother. So we'll be talking from Yankee Stadium. But John Hills, if you don't mind me just segueing into that.
Yeah.
He is an offensive lineman out of San Francisco. He's visited Texas 3 times already. He's coming back on April 6th. He already has an official visit set up for June. He comes in on April 6th. Then I think that next day he flies to, or maybe even that night. I think it's that night actually after the spring game. He flies to Michigan to visit Michigan. Dude, I'm telling you, don't sleep on John Hills. And go check him out on my 321 if you're an Orange Blood subscriber. I put his film up on the thread. I wrote about him. This dude, he's only a 3-star, but man, he's got a crazy big offer list. I think that rating is going to come up. He loves Texas. I'm predicting him to commit to Texas at some point, probably this summer. I also wrote about Byron Washington, the huge mammoth offensive lineman out of DeSoto. I think he commits to Texas. He told me probably on his spring game at DeSoto, he's going to make a decision. So we're talking, probably late April, May. He didn't know when the date would be, but, he wants to commit at his spring game. I think Texas is a team to beat there. So, kind of a lot, like you said, it was pretty interesting and eventful 3-2-1. So a lot to digest there. So I encourage people to go check it out, hopefully.
Last question for you, Jason. Let you go. Ben G, tell us what you think about Johnson, the wide receiver out of Hitchcock, please.
Yeah, that's Kelshawn. That's a guy I just mentioned that I talked to on Sunday. Love Kelshawn for a few reasons, dude. I think he's a great player. He is elite speed. Texas is comparing him to Xavier Worthy. And if you watch his film, and Hitchcock's a smaller school, but if you watch his film, you kind of can see those flashes. I think he had a 10.41 100-meter dash last year. Now that was wind aided. I mean, he had a pretty significant wind at his back, but I don't care. 10.41 wind aided is still pretty impressive, right? So, elite player. He only visited one school in January and before the dead period kicked in. That was Texas. He's coming back to Texas on April 6th. That's the only visit he has scheduled. He's trying to schedule A&M and USC and a couple others, but right now Texas is the only school he has scheduled. I think Texas is the team to beat there. I think this is a guy that you can predict. I feel comfortable. I would predict him in the class. I need to go in and do some of these future cast picks. I've kind of been lagging on those. But and Kelshawn, I tell you, personally, I love him because, there's some guys, dude, that just don't want to talk. Kelshawn, I wouldn't say is the most dynamic interview. And I don't mean that as a slap in the face. He's just kind of a man of few words. But the dude's always generous. Every time I ask him for an update, he's always is available to give me a few minutes. So shout out to Kelshawn. I love that about him. Seems like a pretty good kid, man. So as I get older and onward, some of these kids are tougher and tougher to reach. I learn to appreciate the kids who want to work with me a little bit, man.
Well,
Kelshawn's one of them.
Well, honestly, Jason, that as you're older and you have kids who are around their age.
Yes. I know how shitty my teenagers can be. So.
Well, your daughter, though, your daughter's a track star, though. So.
She was a track star her first 3 years. Weirdly, she is in a senior slump this year, not running particularly well. So, yeah, she's not finishing off her senior season the way she wanted. I don't know what's going on there.
Is she just getting that senioritis that she's just ready to get out?
Maybe some of that mentally, but I mean, she works and trains hard, but I think her body's just kind of changing a little bit, and she still runs well. She's still on the varsity, team, of course, and competitive, but just not. She's actually, I should feel terrible. Her time this year, Anwar, was slower than what she ran in 7th grade. She was crazy fast in 7th grade. She almost in 7th grade she was just insanely fast, like Junior Olympics type speed fast. But she just I think she peaked early and just kind of is slowly leveling out at this point. So.
Well, hey, listen, what's the ad that NCAA ad says about how many the majority of these kids are going to go pro in something other than sports? So as long as she's enjoying it, as long as she's having a good time, that's fine, Jason. You're still going to have to be paying for college one way or another.
Exactly. I never had any false dreams that she was going to get some scholarship to the University of Texas or anything like that. So exactly right. All
right, Jason, get out of here, brother. I appreciate you. See you next week. Jason Sugamel, this is why you're here for. Gives you all the good information, all the good recruiting info, including a breakdown of his daughter, which I hope she doesn't see this video. But a breakdown, that's the hard part. That's what I'm going to say before I go. Hard part about being a sports person, and the good and the bad, right? But the good and the bad about being a sports person, but then when you evaluate your own kids, you see it out of a totally different lens. So even as a father, when I watch my kids play, I see it. I'm happy, but I'm detached in a where it's a weird analytical way of watching your child. I watch it as support, but not as like one of those parents who want to be parking lot parents. I hate those people. I call them parking lot parents. After youth games, you ever see these people? They're in the parking lot chastising their kids about things they should or should not have done throughout the game. I'm just like, man, take that kid to go to Chick-fil-A, give that kid a hug and keep it moving. Like, work on that stuff during the week, but just give him a hard time after the game just seems totally unnecessary. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Went soloed on that ass, but I'm still the same. But Alex will be back next week, but he'll give us some updates tomorrow. I think we'll have some buy or sell tomorrow as well. Don't forget that you'll have House Divided today at 12. Modcast today at 4 o'clock. So don't forget that. Got a lot of good things, a lot of good show coming on for you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Share this video with people. Put that on your social medias. Don't be posting about the politics. Nobody care about your politics. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. You ain't gonna convince nobody of how you feel. So you know what? Post something that everybody can agree on, which is your Texas Longhorns and how good they are doing. All right, guys. Remember what I always say: live each day like it was your last, because one day it will be, and we shall talk soon. Y'all take care. Peace.